Jujitsu, when I hit you, then I split you.
Yo, yo.
There it is. Figuring it out once again.
There we go. Hey, listen, we're just doing what we can do with what we got, my man.
I think we're actually doing pretty damn good for what we got here, man. Innovative.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we keep it gangster. That's all we know how to do.
Yeah, that's right, man.
So, how's your day, my man?
It's good, man. It's like, it's like it's almost like the same thing every day. It's like 12-hour day on like a light day. I think, and then taking care of the baby in between that, like trying to hang out, and then trying to get some form of training in, whether it's kettlebells or a little bit of jujitsu here and there.
Yeah, it's like fucking Groundhog's Day for all of 2020.
Yeah.
But I got to get some training in today, so my psyche feels a little bit better than it did earlier today, so that's good.
Yeah, we kind of need that, especially in the kind of weather, the current climate of everything.
Oh yeah, dude. Anytime it gets like this, like crappy, like rainy out or whatever it is, like my mood totally is like wah, wah. I feel like that guy from like the Peanuts or whatever, where the cloud follows him around all day.
Yeah, I find it like interesting too, because now that like gyms are technically still closed, like trying to find like little apps and everything, and like trying to stream stuff to my TV and do these workouts, and then there's also like these technique videos, like obviously like you've seen like BJJ Fanatics, and there's like the John Danaher series, and then all these other like high level athletes. Just trying to like watch that and like take notes, but it's hard because you're not in the gym every day to drill it. So there's just kind of like this disconnect. I don't want to call it disconnect, but you see like folks like using that as either like something to supplement their training or as something as their primary source of training. So, it's one thing I've always kind of struggled, like trying to take the little bits of like content and like try to integrate it into like my daily training as I'm actually going into the gym, and like I'm either, taking classes with you or I'm taking classes with George. So it's kind of like a weird balance trying to strike between the two. And obviously I feel like, when you're going into training, that should be, serve as like your primary. And then any content you're watching on the side, that should kind of be like, supplemental, or anything you want to add to your game, you can kind of jump in there. So it's, it's that weird balance. And I know you've kind of been seeing that too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, it's like anything else. Like, I think, all forms of training and all forms of learning are good. For me personally, like, I can watch a video. We make instructionals and do instructionals. For me, I'm not a long format instructional person. Like, I've been training long enough where it's like, all right, give me the move, give me a breakdown, give me a shorter video where I can kind of like scrub back, be able to see what, I'm looking at. Because, once you've been training for a while, you understand the positions. I feel like the longer version instructionals are good for the beginners. As you get to a higher level, like, shorten them up because you have most of the concepts, you have most of the theories already in your head. So, you can get to the point a little bit quicker. That's just me personally. Some people like the long-winded format. For me, I like something that's like, 3 to 5 minutes tops. Let me scrub it. Let me go, back where I can pause on positions, pause on moves. And then I can go try to apply it. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, we're all trying to apply it. I mean, sitting in your house, watching YouTube videos or instructionals is great for, your mental aspect of training, but we still have to physically be able to go do it.
Yeah. That's a big thing too, especially when it's even like started. Cause now you went from, 2-a-days or like every day, or even like your part-time, practitioner going like, 3 days a week, and then it's just nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's just, it's consistency with martial arts. It's like you have to consistently be on the mat. You have to consistently, like with anything in life, I feel like if you, like when you're a kid, you want to get good at handwriting, what do they make you do? Write the letter A 10,000 times, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to write it in script, and then you got to write it in uppercase, and then you got to write it in lowercase.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's the same thing with jujitsu and drilling the moves. It's like, okay, I got to drill an arm lock. I got to drill it from guard. I got to drill it from mount. I got to drill it from side control. I got to put it all together.
Yeah, true, true.
So,
Um, yeah, I think, I know when this all initially started, it was like you saw a bunch of folks like drop like these solo drilling videos, and I guess that was good. I think when you and I like chatted last week, like when you were,
mhm.
preparing to like get your students back in, like I talked about like the fundamentals, like getting back to like mobility and everything, and just movement essentially, because a lot of these folks, some people have stayed active, but then there's people who essentially kind of treated it like a vacation, and just kind of sat around. So it's
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean,
yeah,
I've trained with some people, in between here and there, and you got your people that come in and they're in the same shape because they've been staying active, and then you got other people that are like, oh yeah, I threw an extra 20, and I'm like, 20, maybe times that by two, you fat bastard. So, but like, I mean, it happens just because we get complacent, and
yeah,
a lot of guys are not going to do. I know that's a big thing for like me is like I always did group classes or martial
uh-huh,
arts classes because I don't like to train by myself. I don't,
yeah,
I'm not a guy that just likes to go to the gym and, put his headphones on and bang out a 40-minute workout by myself. Like I like the
yeah,
camaraderie. I like somebody pushing me, so this way, even if I'm tired, we're all guilty of it. It's like, all right, I'm going to do a set of 12 and then you're tired by 9 and you're like, yeah, 11's good enough, so,
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, if you got somebody in front of you going, well, 11 isn't good enough, you got to get the 12th one in, buddy.
yeah,
That's where I think it's so crucial, for me and for a lot of people, like the people that can't do it on their own, or they just they don't have that drive or whatever to do it by themselves. That's why I think like the group classes, whether it's a CrossFit or a jiu-jitsu school or whatever, yoga or spin class or whatever, they go there to get that push because at the end of the day, break it down to something as simple as this: you want to stretch, right?
yeah,
Now, like stretching wise, like I can only push myself so far, especially if I'm in
yeah,
pain or if it's just to a certain point. I can only pull so far. That's why, like, when I have like somebody professionally stretch me, they're going to stretch me way better than I ever could. Because one, they're going to be able to hold it longer. Two, I don't have to
yeah,
concentrate on stretching. I got to just concentrate on breathing, and they're doing the stretching for me. So that's like
yeah,
even like I used to have a guy stretch me once or twice a week, and when he would do it, it was like I was so much more limber. I could get so many more
yeah,
places just because like you get to a point where you're like, especially with stretching, sometimes like you're in pain and it's like, well, I can't pull any harder. I can't bend anymore. I can't relax. Like where when you have somebody stretching you, it's like, all right, I got to relax and I just got to concentrate on my breathing and they're going to do the work.
yeah. I noticed that when like stretching solo, especially once you start to get to like that edge and your body starts to hurt, like your body almost kind of like starts to retract to kind of protect itself.
Oh yeah, it
Which is
like retracts itself from you. It's like nope,
yeah,
nope, don't do that, don't do that. Where like when you have somebody who can do that for you, they're like, okay, breathe out, and we're gonna go another centimeter, and breathe
yeah,
out, and we're gonna go another centimeter. So like you can
yeah,
go through you can concentrate on the breathing, relaxing the muscles, because like you said, your body does go into like that self preservation mode.
hmm, yeah. I kind of found that too. Like recently, I mean, like when I was training like full time, I did find like one or two people like we'd like buddy up and like just like do stretches, like help each other, like stretch each other's like legs and backs and everything. So I found
Hmm.
like once you actually have someone to kind of help you and push you, especially like post training when you really want to get that good stretching, now that everything's nice and loose,
Hmm.
like that makes it a lot, it makes it a lot easier, just a lot better for you in the long
Yeah,
run.
well, I mean, it's like they say, I mean, I didn't know for years until I got a little bit older. It's like you need to warm up and then stretch because if you stretch
Oh
cold,
yeah,
like if you stretch cold, because everybody's like, oh, I got to stretch out before I do my jog or I got to stretch out and do this. And it's like, no, you got to do your
yeah,
jog and then stretch out. It's not like you got to run a marathon. It's just like you got to get yourself warm and then stretch because it's like the equivalent, the way it was explained to me was like, all right, you take a rubber band, you throw it in a freezer and then you go to pull it. What's going to happen?
yep,
But,
yep.
but it,
Someone told me that with saltwater taffy, it's
yeah,
like the same thing.
yep.
If it's like ice cold, you go to like ply it and like bend it, it just
Snaps.
breaks. But
Yep.
once you get it like nice and hot, then it's like pliable and everything. So it's like your muscles are the same way.
Yeah, so like it's even if like you just do a little quarter mile or you do some jumping jacks, you do some running in place, you do some mount climbers, you do stuff like that where like you do it, and then I know for me like we warm up for like 10 minutes at my school, and then we train, and then we stretch at the end when you're all warm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times like in between where you get a little tight and you're like, oh, let me just stretch out a little bit, but you're warm.
Yeah.
And then you do it while you're warm, not while you're cold, because that's when, and that's the whole thing. It's like, even if you're cold and you are stretching, it's like it goes right back. It doesn't stay in that stretched loose mode. It's like, okay, I stretched it. You feel that burn, and then it goes back.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I find that, especially when you get like, I mean, obviously, when you get like older, like warming up properly and cooling down properly becomes so much more important now.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel.
definitely. I mean, that's like we've talked about it before too. Is like, dude, I need like 20 minutes, half hour, and once I'm like sweating, then I can have like proficient rolls and I can have productive rolls. It's like, but if I go right out of the starter gate full bore, I'm dead in 15 minutes. I could be dead in 2 rolls, and then I'm just useless for the rest of the rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I found like even like when I was like competing, pretty frequently, I found like, just doing like jump ropes and everything else, like trying to warm up like that, like wasn't really working because I'd always found myself dying out like first match. But once I actually like found like a buddy of mine who was competing, with a weight class under me, him and I would get there early, just jump on the mat and just move around for a good like 30 minutes.
What?
That's why by the time you're like walking on the mat, like I'm drenched in sweat and like my lungs are open and everything. Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is like, do you jump rope before you train jiu-jitsu ever?
Yeah, no.
So why, like, when you go to competition, you're like, I'm going to jump rope. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, no, what do? I should do the things that my body's familiar with. So then this way it's warming up the muscles that I'm used to using. And it's like jumping rope is like, yeah, I'm going to do that to warm up. But now you blew your calves and the sides of your knees out because you've just been bouncing. And those are the things you're going to need. And you didn't warm them up the way you're used to warming them up. And then the other muscles, even though you're sweating, they're not the muscles you're used to using. So those muscles are still cold. Even though you might be sweating a little bit, like those muscles that you're used to activating, like once you go into burn mode, like when you got to grab a grip on somebody and then hold it for 2 minutes, it's like, oh, there goes my forearms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely important, the idea of like, warming up and stretching. And I've seen it now that it's become much more important, especially in my game. When getting ready to train and whatnot, but I'm getting there. Like some days I get it right, and some days, I I don't get it right, and I could feel it. Like once that first match kind of starts, so it's almost like a continual working process.
Oh yeah, well, it's the nature of the beast. It's a learning process, and as you get older and you get more familiar with your body, you realize the things you got to do to get it to the part you need to get it to still perform at a high level.
Yeah. I don't think I haven't formed it at a high level for the past 6 months. So
I don't think anybody has. So we're all in this together.
I remember like when this first started, like you started your Zoom classes and like you had me coming in and we're like shooting content. I remember be like, okay, we'd all be done. Be like, all right, man, well, let's see you later. And like, I'd be like walking out, I'd just be like, why didn't he ask me to train? Like I would have trained. Like just has me come in and shoot content, and so just kicks me out. Like I don't know, I'm ready to train. And then finally after like week 4, you're just like, hey, if you want to like train, like I'm down. I was like, oh. Like finally.
Well, I was waiting for you because you're like, oh, my wife's pregnant, blah blah blah, and everybody thought that we were gonna die from the Black Plague, and like I was ready. Like where I stand on this whole subject from day one. It was like I would have trained straight through it. I mean, everybody was nervous because it was the unknown, but I'm not one to sit back and just let things happen to me without a fight. So I was like, all right, let me see what this is all about. And, I've been saying it since day one. Like, I was more scared about them taking our rights away and everybody giving them away so easily and how hard it's going to be to get it back than I was of COVID. Like, that was my main concern from the day one. And I'm pretty upset that I was right about that one.
Are you really that upset
Yeah,
though?
well,
Like,
I'm used to being like, gotcha, I was right, but this one I wish I was wrong about. But we're seeing the tyrants and everybody else hold on to that power they got, and they don't want to give it back.
No, that's true, and you're starting to see like slowly more people, get exposed in that. And like I said, like a couple weeks ago when we spoke, now a lot more, people are educating themselves, and not so much just educating themselves, like grabbing in, like taking in more information,
Mhm.
but the way they evaluate information
I agree.
has
You know
changed
what they call
significantly.
that, Drew?
What is that?
Hashtag woke, motherfucker.
Yep,
No,
yep,
I know. Well, you always hear everybody was like, "Oh, conspiracy theories." You've been hearing for years hashtag woke, and they're like, "Oh, those weirdos." But it's crazy because a lot of people that were would always just negate that or push that down. Now they're like, "Wait, man, I'm a little nervous because everything you were telling me 2 years ago it's happening." And now
yeah,
that they're like, "Oh, everything the mainstream media is telling us isn't real," and or
yeah,
even if it might be real, they're researching it first before they take it as the old saying, golden rule or God's word. They're like,
yeah,
wait a second, they lied to us about this, so why are they lying to us? Maybe they're lying to us about that. Or it's they had a photo up the other day of one of the cities burning, and it was literally the picture
yeah,
from War of the Worlds, the movie. And
yeah,
it's like, bro, you're
yep,
getting caught and then you're still pulling this bullshit. And
yeah,
okay, it's not even that's the scary part is that they think that, most of the majority of humans are that stupid that, okay, we fooled you once. It's okay. You caught us. Oh, sorry. We had to use Be Real, and then we'll do it again. And you're
yeah,
like, bro, you just did it again. And they're like, oh, yeah, but you're too stupid to fucking realize that. So we're going to just keep doing it. And
yeah,
they keep doing it and they keep doing it. And some people are dumb as shit. And I'll say it, dumb as shit, because they're not even it's in front of your face. It's there.
yeah,
And you're not even. But if you think about it, you're not a free thinker. You're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're one of those wackadoos that just think that the government. Oh, everybody. You think everybody in the world is in on it. Everybody in the world, every country would have to be in on it to make that happen. Well, holy shit! Now nobody believes the fucking who. Everybody
yeah,
can see that places are linked up together, and now they're like, holy shit, it is bigger than what you thought, and people are together, and then the people that don't want to believe it still die to their guns, being like, oh, you're ridiculous, you really think somebody wants to drop off bricks in the middle of a riot? Motherfuckers, there's people all over taking photos of this stuff saying Acme Brick Company. That's the kicker in the balls. It's like, you're so dumb, Wildly Coyote could drop this off here,
yeah,
and who's Acme or who's the Acme Company attached to? Berkshire Hathaway. Who owns Berkshire Hathaway? Warren Buffett, who
hmm,
just stepped down as one of the main people on the council for Berkshire Hathaway, Bill Gates. So
yeah,
how is everything being linked together so often, and people can still just be like, there's nothing to it? Even if you don't want to go down the rabbit hole, all the way down the rabbit hole, there's too many things coming up that you can fact check and link together multiple
yeah,
times just in the past 2 months, when people are starting to open their eyes. Dude, I've been looking at this shit for years being like that, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you think this and you think, all right, I don't think it. Okay, I don't. Now who's coming to me? Those same people going, hey G, did you know this? And I'm like, thanks for coming back into 2017 when I told you. But hey,
yeah,
listen, that's the big thing to this is people, at least people are starting to ask questions.
hmm,
And at least people are starting to at least acknowledge okay, everything I'm getting spoon fed isn't strawberries and whipped cream. you know
yeah, yeah. And you know what? The one, one of the good things, when I try to look at the good things is, now you have regular folks taking this information, using all this information, using various sources, not to just better inform themselves, but I guess another good benefit too is now you're starting to see people take all these different information sources, and they're using it to, I guess to say, develop new skills
Yes.
and become better people overall. And I think that's amazing. I mean, I think I was telling you the other day, like a guy I used to work with, just released like his first like children's book.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And yeah, and would you think like when would you have ever had time to do that? And like, on my end, I mean, I don't know how much this relates, but like, my wife, she goes before this all started, like she'd go to the salon, get like her hair done, and do all this stuff. And one day she was like, "You have to do my hair." She's like, "I can't go to the salon." I'm like, "I ain't doing your fucking hair." And she's like, "Well, you got to learn because I can't go." And like she knows she apparently has a wedding coming up, so literally sat on YouTube for like 45 minutes, like watched the video, did her hair, and dude, it actually came out awesome. So it's probably my new side gig.
Listen,
open a salon.
Life is hard, bro. Yeah, and your side gig. I mean, I don't know if I would open a salon because apparently they're not essential. So that might not be the best backup plan.
Now that's it. salon / jiu-jitsu. I'll just set up a mat in the back, and that's it. Find a niche market or something.
You gotta.
But I mean, I was more so thinking it's like when would I ever have to learn, or when would I ever use like a skill like that? But I was able to use that to kind of help my wife out, which actually felt kind of nice.
You're such a good husband, Drew.
Dude, listen, man. I'm hard muscle on the outside, chocolate pudding on the inside. big old sauce.
Hey, listen, listen. You got a happy wife, happy life. They always say, right?
But it's I'm seeing even like housing project stuff. I know you're working on your house every time I talk to you, man.
Yep.
So I mean, kind of getting out there and getting back to the basics, man. So it's been really cool to see people around me, my friends and family members, you kind of using this time, like using the resources to not only become better informed and reevaluate the way they look at information, but also to become better people and learn new skills overall. I think that's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that, I mean, because what was everybody's complaint with everything all the time? There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't work out. There's not enough time. Oh, I can't eat right. There's not enough time to meal prep. Oh, I can't learn how to draw. I don't have the time to sit down for an hour and practice my sketching. I want to learn how to shoot. I don't have the time to, go to the range and shoot or whatever. Well, now, motherfuckers, all you got is time. So this is the kicker where all you motherfuckers got to gut check yourself. You have the time now, and if you still didn't learn a skill or you still didn't improve, that just goes show that you are a lazy human being. Because it's like a gut check. It's like, okay, it was always, I didn't have time to spend with my kids to teach them how to ride their bike, or I didn't have time to, learn how to, cook this meal or whatever. Like, 80%, 90% of America, has the time now. So if you're not doing some sort of form of self-betterment, you're a lazy human being, and you really have to have that come to Jesus talk with yourself.
Yeah. And, I've had people, at my job kind of reach out to me and because, some people, found out I like a podcast and they're like, oh, how'd you do that? Like, how'd you do that? Like, you must have like hours and hours of time. And I tell people, I'm like, no, I don't have like 5 hours a day. Like, I'm just sitting working on.
No, you just have a super handsome white friend that is just amazing, and we can split the time.
Yep, that's it. That's exactly the.
That's what you're like. Yo, I got white chocolate in the pocket, and that ain't no big thing. Like, not
it's white lightning and chocolate.
Yo, why do you always get to be the sweet thing, and I got to be the Captain Destructo?
Do you want to be sexual white chocolate?
Ooh, sexual now we're talking about, Drew. Okay, all right. What?
It's that type of podcast.
Well, you listen. You know what?
We're after hours now. This is Two Live Fools after hours.
After hours, 16 hours, and fucking banging our heads against the wall every day.
Oh my gosh!
You know what though? I do like White Lightning because that's moonshine, right?
Oh my god! Don't even get me started on moonshine, man. Bad memories. The one and only time I've ever tried moonshine, man. Pretty sure.
Okay, so first of all, then you didn't have real moonshine because the way you started off the word was bad memories. If you had real moonshine, no memories. Mind eraser.
No, I mean, oh god, nope.
Well, dude, the
Oh.
last time I drank moonshine was I was at a, listen to this shit. So my one friend, he got married in West Virginia. so
I already know where the
yeah, we
story's
were up in
going.
like, like I guess it's like the Smoky Mountains of West Virginia. We were at this hotel and it was like up in this mountain, like on a mountain lake. It was really cool. But his wife's whole family's from West Virginia. And, they had apple pie, like legit apple pie moonshine, bro. It was the most dangerous, delicious thing I've ever seen because it was
That's the
moonshine, but it wasn't like gasoline moonshine where you're like, woo, all right, like, but it was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm drinking like a piece of apple pie. And it was still like high content, but it was delicious. And that was the last time I had but I knew it was legit. Like I got it from the good old boys up in West Virginia, Yep. It was definitely legit and it was a good time. So
once you woke up in the middle of the field, like, like butt ass naked, then you're like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't
it was kind of like Deliverance. I was trying not to squeal too much, but it is what it is.
God.
Hey, what happens in West Virginia stays in West Virginia, right?
It's like that was the old me. I don't do that.
No, I just walk with a weird limp for the rest of my life now. Hey, listen, somebody's got to be the crazy one. Might as well be me, right?
It's like, listen, man, I had a life, I had a past.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, I was, folks were always asking me about like the podcast and like how can I start like a new skill or anything else in general. And I think one of the things I was kind of telling people was like, listen, you don't need like 6 hours a day. I get it now. Like, like now you're wearing multiple hats. Like now you get got a job. Now you're like a teacher now. Now you're like, trying to get your kids to homeschool. Like you don't need like hours a day. Like I think of one person I know, I look at like, let's see, like Jocko Willink, like one guy who gets up early, like, he knows he's got like all the stuff going on. He's got his own podcast. He's working with his kids. He's doing this and that. Gets up at 5 a.m. Sometimes, I tell folks like it's hard. Trust me, even getting up at like 6 a.m. is hard. But if if you're really trying to start that, and it doesn't have to be a side hustle. You just be like learning a new skill. Sometimes it's getting up an hour early before everyone else is, or even like staying up an hour later at night. And it's not like something that's going to get done in like a week. This could take weeks, months, just designating that time. Even if you take a couple minutes from the day just to read up on something real quick, watch a quick instructional, like anything else, man. You gotta kind of like kind of micro, like set like little micro goals to kind of help you get you across the finish.
Well, I think the other thing that would be, helpful for that type of thing is I got a couple of things on this. So like passion. What are you passionate about? And if you're passionate about, and this is what I say to everybody, if it becomes a priority to you, you will find the time. And I say this to people all the time, like when they're like, oh, I love jujitsu so much. I love this, but I can't train. I got work. And I said, it's like anything else in life. If you want it, you will find the time. Like everybody, thing was like, oh, I don't have any money. I don't have any money to train jiu-jitsu. Well, you just found that money to get those new Jordans you wanted. So you did have the money. It just wasn't a priority to you. So if you make something a priority in your life, you will find the time for it. Like I said, like me and you, like this is a new skill and something that we both, I've wanted to do for a long time and you wanted to do. And what we do, we had some time. So what we do, we jumped on it. And like you said, like, okay, it's 10:30 at night. We're doing a podcast, from our homes. We found time after we were both up all day. We had our kids all day. I'm teaching privates. You're doing stuff. I got classes. You got the kids. I come home. We do this. What I do, slam some food, and I hopped right on the podcast with you. Why? Because it's a passion project for us, and it's something we're passionate about, and we made the time to do it. And we both are consistent. That's another big thing that people don't do. Consistency. So in the past, 8 weeks or whatever, even before we started the podcast, we carved out time every Wednesday night to talk, prep, go over what we want to do, and then we make it happen. And even though there's 1,000 things that me and you can both call each other during the day and being like, bro, like literally I called you and you're like, oh, you ready? And I'm like, bro, I'm getting out of the shower. Like I'm going to slam food. Like I literally walked in the door, had my headphones on, eating the food while I'm getting out of the car. And then I hop on and do it. Why? Because I know it needs to be be done. We carve out a certain time. I know you're taking time out of your day away from your family. Like, even though we both, we agreed to do it at night, so it doesn't take too much time for a family, but we do it Saturdays. Yeah. We do it when, we carve out the time because it's something that we need to do. And the one thing that, helps is, both our significant others are supportive with us. So that always makes it easier.
Yeah, it does, man. I think when I think back to consistency too, I remember, right before, like my daughter was born, before that, I was doing like 2-a-days, like weights in the morning, jiu-jitsu at night, like training like, 5-6 days a week. And, my wife, she's always been very supportive of me training jiu-jitsu because she's active on her own. So she's like, listen, I know this is important to you. I know this is something that has like so many benefits in your life and something you enjoy. She's like, I'm not asking you to stop. She's like, I've never asked you to stop. She's like, I'm just asking you to just think of ways that, just to, because obviously, I had a baby on the way. It's like, what are some ways that we can, still keep ourselves healthy, but, give the time needed to our family. So, what I did? Oh no, I went down from, 5-6 days a week to like 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. And then I started, I was home. So I would do day classes instead of night classes, do a class in the middle of the day. This way at nighttime when, when she needs me and when, we want to be together for dinner and we have to take care of the baby and do this and that, then now I'm home. So now just trying to do that. And like I said, I wasn't always getting like, that consistent, like 2-3 days a week. Sometimes it'd be 1 day a week, sometimes it'd be maybe 2 days a week, but I made sure like, get that one, maybe 2-day classes in, then make sure it's at home. And then once the baby was asleep and I knew she was going to be asleep, then, jump online, maybe watch an instructional or something, just so I'm kind of keeping like that kind of muscle memory and maybe moving around a little bit in my basement, just kind of doing that, but just doing what I need to do and like trying to stay consistent because, jiu-jitsu is something that I'm passionate about. And it's something that I hopefully want to pass on to, to my daughters.
Well, that's what makes it easier when your daughter's old enough and you're like, oh, we're going to train. Now you can train more.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was like one of the first things because when I walk into like, obviously your place on Saturdays and I see like your kids come in and like they're moving around and everything, I'm like, oh my God, like can't wait till she's old enough. So like she can go, I can take her to kids class and usually adult classes afterwards, then hit adult class. Then after that, 5 guys, and like, just make a day out of it, man. So I'm like,
well, I mean, that's the whole thing too. And I mean, it makes it a lot easier when like, like I see a lot of people that like them and their, significant others, whether it's, their wife or their husband, they're both into jiu-jitsu. It's like, oh man, that's awesome because like for them, both of them want to go train. So it's like those people can train a lot. But like you said, like your wife's into one thing, my wife's into another thing. Like my Rand's trained here and there, and it's just hard for her. Like I know she would like to train more with me, like kickboxing and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But it's hard for her because, if I'm at work or if I'm training, she has the kids. If she needs to go work out, I have the kids. So like once they get a little bit older, I definitely think it would be a lot easier for her to be like consistently like get into jiu-jitsu or something like that. Or we have some time where like one of our mothers can come over so she can pop in and take kickboxing class. But she's also the type of person, it's like, I'm not going to do it if I can only do it 1 day a week. Like I want to do it 3-4 days a week. So like I can respect that from her because like, we get into it and, she's athletic, she's competitive. So like, that's the other thing too, is like, I don't want to teach her too much jiu-jitsu because then she'll kill me. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things. It's good to have both, but at the same time too, like you both need to have your own things.
Yeah, true. I've kind of heard people like tell me that, or when I was like, I was thinking about getting my wife into jiu-jitsu, but they're like, oh yeah, but don't you guys want to have like your own things and like this is kind of like your thing and like your place where you kind of go to like decompress?
I mean, it is that slippery slope, I guess you could say, because like that's like your sanctuary where it's your safe place. Like you could go, you can get away, you could decompress, you don't have to worry about it. You can hang out with the guys or the girls or whatever, because like guys and girls train. So, we have training partners that are girls that, they hop in and train and, they sit down and BS with us and everything else. Like it's just that community, whether you're a guy, girl, whatever, doesn't matter. But like, it's just like, oh, I have that community. I have that like little, branch of my family that I can go and decompress or go to for advice or, just go to be silly,
Yeah.
So I mean that's what I like about our group is like we're silly,
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
you
dude.
can't take yourself too
Yeah.
seriously with
Nice.
our group because like we'll eat you alive. You know.
Yeah. 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 A couple of Fridays have gotten
Oh,
pretty
they
crazy
go
because
downhill real quick sometimes.
yeah, yeah. It kind of starts off pretty like level headed and just
Oh
kind of
yeah,
unravels like
then it's like a
almost
bunch of
immediately.
12-year-olds making fun of each other. But
Hmm.
that's the fun, is it? You know, that's the fun part of it. You know, that's the way to, you know, keep things. That's the other thing. You got to keep it playful because if it's a playful and it's a fun atmosphere, like
Yeah.
you're gonna want to do it. You enjoy it, and you're working your butts off. So you got to make it where it's fun because it's hard fucking work, man.
Yeah. No, it is. It is, man, and it's nice to, especially when you're talking with people like after training. I remember like right after like Nia was born, my first couple of sessions afterwards, like talking like people were saying congratulations, but then honestly, as I'm training, there's still a little bit in the back of my mind like all those fears. I'm a new dad, but then like talking to you and talking like Cornell and talking to people who've like been through it before. It's like, oh yeah, you've raised kids, and they're like, yeah, it's not too bad, especially when you have like someone who supports you and whatnot, and like trying to strike the balance between like like fatherhood and training and any of
Oh
those
yeah,
other
because I
obstacles
remember
that
like when
may
you
may.
know you and your wife were first pregnant with the kid, like you like I know how it is. Like my first kid, it's like you're deer in headlights. Like the whole world changed. It's like even even with
Yeah,
the first kid, it's like you don't go out as much, you don't do stuff. Like you're locked in, and you're like I need to have so much time. And then I'm like, then you start loosening up, you start finding your groove a little bit more. But even like a lot of my friends that have one kid, it's like they're just so hyper focused on the kid, and they're like, yeah, but I got to be home and do this. And I'm like, bro, I got fucking three. Like, I find
yeah,
time to train and I own my own business and I do this. And everybody's like, well, yeah, but your business is training. But it's not. Like, Drew, you've been around me for a while now. Like, if I'm teaching, I got to teach. Like, I can only go train
yeah,
so much. So that's why I tell everybody all the time, like, I still personally go somewhere else and train 2 to 3 days a week on top of working 70 hours a week, teaching, doing privates, having three kids, doing all that other stuff. So that's why, like I always say to my students, I will never ask you to do something that I can't do myself. So if I'm literally finding two
yeah,
times a week and like, that's what kills me even more when it's like, oh, you have one job that it's a 9 to 5 and you have no kids and you live by yourself and you can't find time. Like, don't even talk to me. I don't even want to hear
yeah.
you.
Oh my
Eat a
God.
dick.
Do you remember? Do you remember those days? Do you remember those days? Just just working and
Oh
training,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
it. And
exactly.
just
So, but like I even said to you, because like now
yeah,
you're on to number two, and you're like, oh shit, this is just gonna be more. And I'm like, bro, number two, like
yeah,
it is hard because now it's like there's two of everything, there's this, there's that, but like you'll find your rhythm
yeah,
and you'll find your time. And then like with the second kid, like it's not as like you can't be hyper focused on the first one. You have to split your time, so you become a little bit better at time
yeah,
management in the sense between your children. But then that also sometimes translates into your training, sometimes that, and then you realize like, yeah, I have all this stuff going on, but I can carve out times for this. And it's just like the biggest thing is
yeah,
you're just on the go and you sleep less. That's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, like, oh, there's not enough hours in the day. Well, you know what? Like, I've been functioning off of 4 or 5 hours sleep for the past 5 years. So, like, if I want to train,
Oh,
I'll find
dude.
time to train. Like,
I don't think I've slept like a full night since like 2004. Like
I know.
it just like even before that was just even and then when I was living in the city and then when I was living in the city like I was I was single and I was like maybe getting like 2 to 3 a night
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because I was
Well,
just
but
wild man and like
that's how it is.
it's
When you're
fine.
young, you can function like that, and then as you get older, it gets harder to function like that. But you're forced to function like that. So it's like, you
Yeah,
know,
you adapt,
you know.
man. You adapt. Just like anything else, man. Anything gets thrown at you, especially that's one of the biggest things that, jujitsu has taught me is just adaptation. Become better at
Listen, it teaches
adaptable.
us how to
So,
problem
you
solve
know,
on the fly under extreme amount of pressure. What's more pressure than
yeah.
somebody trying to strangle you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too, people always told me like, especially right when Naya was born, people were just like, oh, like how's that sleep going? Or get ready to lose all that sleep. I'm gonna say like the sleep wise, I'm gonna say it was hard for like a week. And then I was just like, well, this is
This
what
is
I
just real
have to
life
do.
now. This is
I
just
need
real
to
life
be
now. Like,
yeah, I need to be up when needed. Like, if my wife's been up all day, like, with the baby, and then, I've been kind of hanging out, then I need to be up all night just
yeah,
because,
I mean,
in the day it's a partnership. shift.
You know, it
This is
depends
what
on
you
the
have to do.
schedule too. Like, you know, me and Rand used to like
Yeah,
swap nights. Like, I'll be up all night this night, you're up all night this night, you know, or like when she was
yeah,
working early in the day, I would get up with the kid in the middle of the night because I didn't have to be to work till 12, so I could sleep in if I had to. You know, and then with the
yeah.
second one, it was just like, oh, like you both got to kind of do what you got to do. And then by the third one, I was
Yeah.
like, I tapped out at 3. You're getting up with the kid. But I mean, the other thing was too, like with our, you know, with our third one, he was like strictly breastfed, so it was like I couldn't get up with him, I couldn't whip out my tit and feed the kid, so like, you know, and he
Yeah.
wasn't taking a bottle, so like he had to go with Ram, and I was working, you know, I rebuilt the
Yeah.
other school, and then like she would be up with him, and then like in the morning she could sleep in with the baby a little bit, and I would get up with the two and make breakfast, and you know, the older boys and me would just hang out in the morning, and she could get a couple hours here, a couple hours there. But you know, I mean, it's rough. There's no way if and buts about it. And sleep deprivation is a real motherfucking thing. And when you're both, and that was the whole thing
Oh
we
man.
realized by the third one. Like, okay, when we're both sleep deprived, we will murder each other. So it's better off for one
That's
of
the
us to have a
thing,
level
man.
head and be able to hold down the ship and let the other one kind of go bonkers, and then, you know, switch roles here and there. But you both can't be going at both ends, because then that's when, like, you know, you murder each other. You know, so it's just, you know, like,
Yeah.
and listen, we've all
Yeah.
been there, and you know, you get tired, you're cranky,
Yes,
you're
yeah.
irrational, and like you get snippy and you get douchey, and it's just human nature, you know. Like, and it
Yep.
doesn't mean you don't love each other. It's just like you're burning at both ends, man. What the fuck else are you supposed to do? You know.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yep.
coming with the
Yeah.
time management,
Uh,
you know. So hopefully by the second one, the first one's sleeping through the night.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, which is good. We kind of do like all the sleep training and all that. So
What
yeah,
the
she's all
fuck
to
is sleep
sleep. So I
training?
think that'll.
What the fuck is sleep
Huh?
training?
Uh, God, there's
Oh,
like
is this
that
the stuff that
thing.
you
What's
went
it
to the
called? I forgot
library for because you're a smart guy?
Yeah, man, I like to break a mental sweat as well, man.
Okay. You know what sleep training for
Um,
me is with my
yeah,
kids? Go in your room, go to bed. No, I mean,
nice.
my oldest one,
I like
it
that.
took him a little bit to sleep through the night, and then like you have like that, you know, whatever they
Yeah,
say, like that 6 month sleep regression. Then you have like the 20 more, and like that
yeah,
shit's real
yeah.
because yeah, like that
I had
shit's
all
real
that.
because it
It
happens. Like
is.
our one kid, even at like I think it was like 18 months, like he was sleeping through the night, sleeping through the night, sleeping through the night, and then all of a sudden he was just like wouldn't sleep through the night, got up at least once a night. Now my middle one, Gunner, like he was easy as shit. Like literally, you would put him in his room, close the door, he would sleep from 7 to 7 or 9 to 9, and he was never an issue. But now, you know, he's 4, like he doesn't nap like at all. Like he won't take a nap, nothing. Like even since he was like 2.5, 3, like he's from the time he gets up till he hits the ground, he sleeps, you know, through the night, no problem. The baby, it took him a little bit, and then, you know, once he stopped breastfeeding and he was like eating, now, you know, he goes to bed at, you know, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and he's up at, you know, 6 or 7 in the morning. So they all sleep through the night pretty well, unless, you know, obviously they're not feeling good or something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That ours, like Niall was kind of doing that for a while. I think there's like a good like 2 weeks where like she could only sleep in her bed. Like no matter how many times you like tried to like rock her to sleep and put her in her crib, like she was up within like a minute,
Yeah, that was
two
like a
three minutes.
big
So
thing that me and Rand did. Like, you know, I mean, obviously, besides when they're in like the bassinet, like never, ever, ever, unless like the kid was like fell
yeah.
asleep or was sick, like you sleep in your bed, because we have friends that like, dude, your kid's 7 and he's still sleeping in your bed. Like, how the fuck are you ever gonna fuck again? Like, what the hell is gonna go on? like, let's be real here, folks. We all think it. Like, once
Yeah.
you put that boundary
Oh yeah.
down, it's like you never have any personal time between you and your significant other again. But you know, I mean, it's a good or a bad
Yeah.
thing. Like, I got 28 kids, so I mean, you know, I guess it is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
things where, like, dude, I had a friend. This is gonna be weird. I ain't name dropping nobody, but literally, they were like a family of 4, and the whole family slept into the bed, and she was like 23 years old. I'm like, what? I'm like, that is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever heard. She's like, well, you know, my dad sleeps this way, my mom sleeps this way, my brother sleeps this way, my sister sleeps this way, and it's like, you know, that was their family time. So I guess like that's good to be like a close family, but like, all right, bro, like I don't need to sleep in my mom's bed at 20 something years old. Yeah, it's a little weird for me. So in my head, I always had that person in my head, and I'm like, my kids are not going to be those kids. My kids are not going to be those kids. So like my kids, like they'll still like every once in a while like sneak into my bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. They're like, Dad, I had a bad dream. Whatever, bro. Come in, sack up. We got you, bro. Like but like I gotta. I'm not a big person. Rand's not a big person. We got a California king, and those kids are not big kids either. And somehow they take up the whole goddamn bed. So I got a foot in my back.
Because they do like the spread eagle, man. They kind of sprawl out. And, like,
their feet are in your back. Their
space.
hands are in your eyeballs. You're getting fish hooked in the middle of the night. They snore like they're 25 years old. It's like, come on, bro. And then I got the dog. And then I got, a 60-pound pit bull in my fucking bed. I'm like, God damn it. So you can't let that stuff ride. So I'm a big of not letting them sleep in the bed. That's just me though. Everybody to each their own, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So
that's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good, man. We'll see.
All right. So, how you like the new Roll Junkie Patriot T-shirt?
Oh man, still like my closet is like slowly becoming like all like Roll Junkie t-shirts, and I can't wait till I have the full collection, man. Like that's like the only like piece of clothing, like as soon as they drop it, like I immediately buy it just because it's that comfortable. But yeah, the most recent one we got, man, just as soft.
Oh yeah, I got the essential one, and we got the Patriot one. I got the long sleeves. I have the OG one. So hey guys, like honestly, take advantage. Roll Junkie is one of our sponsors, but like we're firm believers in like we don't back nothing unless we wear it ourselves, take it ourselves, whatever. Like they are legit jiu-jitsu gear, whether it's gi, spats, rash guards, t-shirts, long sleeves, whatever it is, man. Like they got great products. So remember, mention 2 Live Fools as the promo code if you order online, and you guys get 15% off your entire order. So like I said, we just got the new Patriot rash guard because we're Americans. And they got the Roll Junkie monkey on the back with the red, white, and blue. Great fit. If you check out our social media, the last episode we did with Frankie Rosenthal, me and Drew are rocking the Patriot t-shirts in there. So guys, check it out. Definitely get it. And then what else? We got anything else? We got another podcast coming out for you guys Saturday. Me and Drew got some stuff in store for you. So take it easy. Is there anything else we got coming up?
Let's see. I think we got a couple more interviews coming up, so we're gonna try setting those up soon. So, the one we did with Frankie, that one was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's got EBI coming up. What, July 19th?
Oh yes, July 19th. EBI Back Attack,
and that's in El Paso, Texas. So if you guys can too, give Frankie a follow. I know he'll appreciate it. Check it out. He's got some of the flyest music on his stories. So check him out. And then guys, spread the word. If you like us, tell your friends, follow. We got our Facebook page, we got our Instagram page, and you can hear us pretty much on all the major podcast platforms. So check us out. And got to say, a little pat on the back to ourselves. We broke 375 downloads in the past 20 days. So for two Laugh Fools from Jersey that are just figuring it out as we go along, we appreciate you guys. We got fans coming out. Everybody's supporting us. Everybody's giving us positive feedback. So also, guys, hit us up on the social media. You want to hear us rap about something, talk about something, let us know. And we're always down to give the people what they want. Right? So, my brother, always a pleasure. I love you, buddy. And, keep it gangster. And I will talk to you on Saturday, my man.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
All right, 2 Laugh Fools out.
Jiu-jitsu, when I hit you, then I split you.